Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joshablon, and welcome back to our series on humans. Now, today, it's going to be another short video. We're just going to kind of be covering how to do necks. So, necks are they're a rather easy one to do. If you go into a little bit more detail, they can get just a little bit harder. So, yeah, we're just going to get right into it. So, I'm just going to quickly draw kind of our basic kind of jawline situation. Have our chin, sides leading up, oval there, if you can imagine that, and then our sides that go up. So there we go. There is our chin, or well, our jawline. And this is important because we need this to be able to make the neck. Oops, still have the eraser on. Okay, so now that we have our jawline, we can start on the neck. And when doing the neck, it really depends on what kind of style you're trying to pursue. Some people like to come with more of a cartoon style, and so they like to make it all curved and everything, and there's nothing really wrong with that. But I'm going to try to be handling more the realistic side of it. And so, that's not actually how it is. Actually, they're not really very curved at all. Like, that is still not correct, even though the thickness is a little bit better. Really, imagine this corner here where it starts going up. Imagine that on both sides. And it just happens a little bit on the inside of that. And they kind of just go straight, kind of up and down. And if not up and down, just do it a tiny little bit out towards the sides. And so, very, very basic neck. After you go down a little bit, you're going to run into your trapezius muscles. And your trapezius muscles, they go out a little bit more. And then after that, then it kind of goes along kind of to your shoulders. So, yeah. You kind of just have your neck, which goes kind of straight up and down, your trapezius muscles, and then your shoulders. So that's kind of how you're very basically going to be drawing kind of the outline of your neck. When dealing with the inner part of the neck, we're just going to go over just a tiny little bit of anatomy that'll help us kind of understand where you're going to be shading with the neck. This is going to be something a little bit more with guys, but your Adam's apple is going to be kind of around this area. So if you do have an Adam's apple, the prominent Adam's apple, you're gonna just kind of want to shade around this area a little bit. Also, depending on where your light source is coming from, as you can tell, I've kind of shown that it's coming in from this direction. We're also going to be shading kind of under the chin and the jawline. Yeah, I'm just going to do a really, really basic kind of hatching method of shading for this whole part. This will all be shaded because the neck is going to be, or the neck and head are going to be in the way. And yeah. And so just leave a little bright patch just for where the your Adam's apple is going to be. So yeah. Also, kind of in this region, we're going to be dealing kind of where your clavicle is. So that's going to be your collarbone. And your collarbone, it more or less comes just rather straight across. If not straight, then kind of just have it dip down a tiny bit. And yeah, but for the most part, it's rather straight going across. So yeah, with collarbones, just maybe add a tiny bit of shading going through, but you're not going to want tons of stuff. Over here, you might have a little bit more. And yeah, and then there's kind of this dip kind of in here. You don't need to add tons of shading there, just a little bit is going to be fine. And yeah, so a little bit more detail with the neck. We're going to be just quickly talking about where your sternocleidomastoids are, or your kind of SCMs is what some people call them. And they're just kind of muscles that are in your neck. They're the big prominent ones that are kind of in a V shape. So they kind of come down basically to where this bottom part is. That's actually going to be the bottom of your muscles. But then they kind of fade it away kind of into the neck for this part. and then they kind of come back and they're more prominent kind of around this area. And then they just go all the way up. So that's kind of where your sternocleidomastoids are. And so if you're having a character who's tilting their head in one direction or the other, or if their neck's really strained or anything, you're going to have to just do a little bit of analysis to figure out kind of where they're going to be most prominent. And you might want to do a little bit of shading in there if you want, because it will be affecting kind of the overall look of your image. So yeah, your SEMs, they will be bulging a little bit. So if you just add a little bit of shading under them, that might be useful. And yeah, that is very, very basically how you're wanting to do your neck and how you're going to figure out kind of the anatomy of the neck. It's a rather useful thing to know. It can make your picture just look a lot more realistic if you get the neck right. If you just have your kind of curved neck, your concave neck, it's not going to look as good as it can look. It has potential to look a lot better. So yeah, we are going to be dealing with upper body and doing like a full face because we've kind of finished the face. Or we're going to handle expressions and then finish it. So yeah. And after that, we're going to be moving on to other parts of the body. So yeah. Subscribe and comment if you are excited to see those parts, and if you have any ideas for other tutorials I should be covering when it comes to humans and bodies, drawing them. So yeah, that is in the end how you're going to be wanting to do your necks. You can play around with kind of how you're going to shade it and whatnot, and where your SCMs, where they're going to be bulging and where they're not going to be bulging as much. Also just test around with like when you turn your head from side to side or looking up, looking down, where they're going to be, because they are rather important when drawing a realistic figure. So make sure you just keep track of that. Also, this is more of a masculine kind of neck and just very top of the chest. It's a very masculine thing that I've done for all of this. And so for a female, you're going to be having a different structure around here. It's probably going to be a bit slimmer. The jawline is going to also be a bit slimmer, specifically around the chin area. And yeah, the trapezius muscles may not be quite as defined, but there'll still be a nice slope into it. It won't just be like neck coming down like that and then going out to the shoulders. It's probably just going to be just coming down, less trapezius, and then out. So there we go. Sorry if me using all of these fancy muscle names was kind of confusing, but just they're important parts to know about. So thank you everybody so much for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial.